You are listening to the Willpower Podcast. Welcome to the show. I am Will Holdren, and I talk with some of the most influential CEOs, entrepreneurial leaders, and thought leaders to reveal the secrets that have led to their success. I believe that with the right knowledge and mindset, you can do anything you say your mind to. So if you want to learn how to change your life for the better, if you want to learn how millionaires actually became wealthy, or if you want to develop and start your own business from the ground up with the right knowledge to help you, then you are in the right place because this is the Willpower Podcast. How are we doing, everyone? My name is Will Holdren. I'm the host of the Willpower Podcast. So we have an incredible real estate entrepreneur based out of the Pennsylvania, more specifically Philadelphia marketplace. And his name is Michael Kearse. And Michael is the CEO and owner of a company called Ameripath USA. And what they do is they focus on real estate investing, specifically finding amazing deals that are out there, and then also facilitating seller financing. And it's an amazing strategy we're going to dive deeper into today. He's also helping a lot of people. And on top of that, he has a fund. He's raised over $4 million in private capital, which in itself is quite the accomplishment. So with that said, first and foremost, Michael, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Will. Appreciate you having me. This is awesome.
Yeah, I appreciate that as well. I know we had a conversation about a week ago, and I'm in real estate as well, and I was referred over to you, and I love everything you guys are doing. So I'm excited to kind of dive into your strategy and how you guys are helping people, and also kind of how you got to where you are today. But starting out, I want to ask you a question I ask all my guests, which is one, what makes you want to take time out of your busy day to hop on a podcast like this to share your story?
Oh man, I just understand the power of more people knowing you, right? Individuals with your platform give me the opportunity to get my name out there, to get what I'm doing out there, to meet more people that I can possibly bring value to, or they can possibly bring value to me. So
Yeah.
any chance that I can get to get on a platform like yours, I'm all about it.
Yeah, I love that. So let's dive right into what is your background basically, and how did you get involved in real estate at the end of the day?
Yeah. So I would say my background is really sales and marketing,
Okay.
more specifically recently digital marketing. I was helping small software and IT companies generate leads online when I first initially got into this entrepreneur world that we're both into. And I really started to really understand marketing and how key it is in business. And once that business didn't last as long as I would have liked, maybe after about 2 year stint, I put that to bed, went back to my career as an IT project manager. And at the time, my brother was getting into real estate. And real estate was something that I was always looking at as a wealth building tool. But he was like, Mike, you'll be great at wholesaling and real estate investing because you already know how to do marketing, which is a big key of it.
Yeah.
And so I still had that entrepreneur spit bug bit, and I started to give it a try and learn as much as I could. And this was like right before COVID, so maybe like 2018, 2019-ish.
Okay.
I started wholesaling, and the sky was the limit after that.
Yeah. It's amazing what can happen. When you switched over to real estate, did you do that full time right away, or were you still doing the IT job?
No, I was doing it part time. I was
Okay.
doing it part time. So I strategically went back into the career field in a remote role so that I could have the flexibility and the autonomy to do the real estate on the side. And
Yeah.
I just dove in head first.
Yeah. That's awesome. And so I guess out of the gate, I mean, wholesaling in itself is not easy to do. I know a lot of people want to get into that industry and think that's the best way to do. There's a lot of ways to obviously get into real estate, but none of them are honestly easy, right? And there's challenges with everything that you do. But walking through kind of that starting point for you, kind of the struggles that you faced, and did you just find success right away doing wholesaling? Like, what did that look like for you for your path?
No, I struggled. And part of why I do what I do now is a result of just trying to find a way to have some success. So I would say it probably took me maybe 6 to 8 months to get my first wholesaling deal. So what happened was I was following Ty Lopez a lot, maybe 3 years prior.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of you in your audience are familiar with him. And so his mantra was always about, mentorship, getting around, other successful people, getting that knowledge to try to get ahead. And so I was devouring and learning everything I could, watching podcasts, YouTube University, wholesaling. So I purchased a program, Sean Terry out of Phoenix, Arizona. Flip to Freedom, I think is what it was called. And it was really around virtual wholesaling. And I
Mm.
was all about, online and virtual coming out of the digital marketing space. It just made sense to me. Philly was super, super competitive. So I started virtual wholesaling in Charlotte, North Carolina area. I
Wow.
got one deal. But then what happened is I started to realize how much of a grind it was and how much time it was taking. And things were picking up at work. So I didn't have time to do some of the things that you have to do to get a great deal. Didn't have a lot of resources to hire VAs and cold callers and things like that. So that's when I really switched to the model that I do now, virtual wealth flipping, where it just made so much more sense just to buy a property for cheap,
Yeah.
was listed for sale, rather than spending a lot of time trying to find a good deal off market. And once I learned creative real estate and seller financing, realizing that I had the ability to buy a property for $8,000 and sell it in 4 days for $45,000.
Yeah.
And that's when, the success really took off um,
Yeah.
with that move.
Yeah, that's absolutely incredible. And a lot of people are going to hear that just saying how you're going and looking at properties that are actually listed and being able to buy them cheaply. And then, like you said, flipping them later. And to your point, it's so much easier doing it that way than finding deals that are off market. Like you mentioned, it's a lot of work that's to go into finding those deals, a lot of negotiating with the actual seller, and it just becomes a hassle and it's hard.
Yeah.
Um, so it's interesting that kind of path that you took where you started wholesaling, realized it's not really the best fit for you, and you kind of transitioned to this model. So kind of walk me through the new model that you do. I know you kind of just touched on a little bit. We kind of talked about it, but for people listening, I mean, what are the baseline terms that you're doing for this model? I mean, you're pretty much going out there, you're looking on Zillow to find these properties initially, and then just flipping them a week later, you keeping them, buy and hold, or what does that actually look like?
Yeah. So I think most people who have heard of this niche may call it like a slow flip. The slow flip method is probably like the most recognizable term. I call what I do more of virtual wealth flipping or um, online creative buy and hold strategy. So I'll find a property listed for sale for, let's say, $35,000, listed by a realtor. And then, I'll have my buying realtor walk the property. And if it's, move-in ready, or a single mom with 3 kids can move right in, I'll buy it cash. And then what I do is I find someone who has not so good credit, who's tired of renting, and give them an opportunity for home ownership. So I'll sell it to them for maybe $110,000. I'll get 6,000 down, and then I'll finance them the remaining $104,000 over 30 years at a 10% interest rate. So really what I'm doing for that individual is, if they're already paying $1,000 a month to rent, I'm just showing them and positioning them to pay $1,000 to own. And I had no idea that there was a huge market for that
Mm.
uh, until I did that first one. And I made so much more money, so much faster, so much easier. I just doubled down on it, and I never looked back. Um,
Got it.
uh, the key component that really helped me was the ability to buy properties virtually, because now I can find properties that are so much cheaper because of the markets that they're in, right? These same properties that I were buying, I've never seen any of them in person, maybe one or two. They're borderline Ohio, suburbs of Pittsburgh. If these
Wow.
same properties were closer to me in the Philadelphia metropolitan area, they'd be worth 3 times as much. But because of the location, they're a lot cheaper. And you'd be surprised, right? It was eye-opening for me when I started doing it. I had no idea as well.
Like that is such a cool strategy. I've had on so many real estate people on this podcast as well, and not one of them is doing what you're doing. So I think it's such a unique niche that you're in, and it's mind blowing, honestly. Like just hearing it for the
Yeah,
second time, it's absolutely mind blowing. And to your point, I'm in Atlanta right now, and there's no way I could get a house for $35,000 that you can just get cheaply that's ready to move in the next day. I mean, it just doesn't happen. And to your point, it's probably the same way in Philadelphia in most spots. But I guess it's just finding out your market, right? Like you mentioned, you're not necessarily going out seeing the properties. It's all virtual, it's all online, and finding ones you can purchase for cheap. Now, when you're finding these properties, let's say they're listed, are you absolutely lowballing the offers, and is it just massive volume that you're putting out there on these homes, or how much diligence goes into the offers you're putting in for all these homes? Like, what does that look like?
Yeah, I do use the same um, core concepts that I learned from wholesaling. I'm trying to get it at a discount, not a deep discount, but as much as I can. With this strategy, because of the way that I'm selling them from a creative finance standpoint, I've paid asking for properties, and sometimes I paid over asking. Once you start getting into the borrowing the money from lenders, you want to be careful, right? It's your exit strategy. You want to make sure that the property appraises and that you can exit properly. But yeah, I take the same approach I would from wholesaling. I just don't have to get them as much as at a deep discount because I'm the actual end buyer.
Yeah. Okay. And then you mentioned you pretty much flip it right away and you find someone that can't buy a house on their own, but someone has bad credit that wants to become an owner, not necessarily a renter. And you mentioned there's a huge market for that, which is I could believe it. I've dealt with loans a few times and it's a pain, right? So I could definitely see some people struggling with that. But how are you going about finding these types of people that fit that need and are actually in the area that you're investing in?
Yeah, so Facebook Marketplace is a huge place. There's hundreds of Facebook groups dedicated to rent-to-own opportunities. I created a Facebook page specifically to list my properties. That was huge. Um,
Mm,
Zillow, Craigslist. Um, and what's been pretty cool is I guess you could call it my brand, or I've become so well known and through referrals that people started coming to me asking me to buy them properties. And then it got to the point where they would tell me what property that they wanted me to buy. So I developed an internal kind of program called the Owner Finance for You program. Well, I started marketing that, where I started telling people, hey, you tell me what property you want to buy, as long as it meets these requirements, as long as you can show proof that you can afford it, we can get your home. And what's pretty cool about that is, I would already have the buyer in place when I close on the property. So the day I would buy it and get paid at closing, which is pretty cool, I would then turn around and sell it directly to someone else, which is awesome. So I would say maybe the last three or four properties I've done, I'm doing that. I actually have a property right now that I'm in the process of buying where we have the buyer in place, which is hopefully our lender can get the funds wired in time before we lose the deal.
wow, that's impressive. So you just have a list of people that are ready to move in pretty much in these areas, and then next house that pops up that you purchase, that person goes into that house, and it's already pretty much a done deal.
It's kind of like that. It's more of I'm working one-on-one with the end buyer, and they say, Mike, I want 123 Main Street. And I say, okay, well, that house, they want $50,000. I could try to get it for 40, but if I can't,
I
that
see.
was going to be 5,000 down, 1,100 a month for 15 years. Does that work for you? They're like, yeah. I said, okay, let's do it.
Gotcha. Okay, so you're already working with them, and they already know what house they want, and then you're the one going out there buying it. Yeah. Okay.
They're picking the exact house they want me to buy. Absolutely.
Okay. So in this model, I mean, obviously, like you said, you're doing seller financing. Is there like a typical balloon payment that you're expecting from these people after like 5 years, or how do you negotiate those terms from these people that are hopefully going to buy this property from you?
I'm really a buy and hold investor, so I'm in it for the long haul. I'm projecting that most of them will just pay it like they were renting before they moved into these opportunities, and or just eventually move and give the property back. So very rarely am I expecting a balloon. I don't, expect one. I don't structure it that way. If they do, that's great, right? Um, but it's really just treated like as if I'm a bank. So I really look for I'm selling it to them for 30-year terms.
Okay. So when you're doing these seller financing deals, I mean, you said you want to do buy and hold long term. So the deed necessarily stays in your name in all these scenarios, and the deed's not being transferred to these people who are moving in and technically buying the property over a 30-year period.
That's correct. I keep the deed in my name. Um, Only because, Pennsylvania is a judicial state. So if I transfer the deed and the default, there's a little bit more of a headache to get the properties back. So I always chose to keep the deed in my name, and it just makes things easier and straightforward. But yeah, I am transitioning into some more expensive homes, more around the 100,000, 150, $120,000 range, where we are offering them, right? Because they're a little bit more of a sophisticated buyer where they have careers, they have retirement accounts where, hey, if you do what you need to do, we would love for you to balloon this out. But it's not a requirement.
Okay. I'm just trying to think through this logistically. So, I mean, essentially, if you're keeping the deed in your name, you're doing buy and hold type strategies. I mean, it's technically them just renting off of you, correct? I mean, in that home, and seller financing is just another term to put on it.
Yeah, legally on paper, it's a rental, right? But I
Yeah.
treat it like I'm a bank. So they pay the taxes, they pay the insurance, right? They never hear from me, I never hear from them. They don't call me if the toilet leaks. They don't call me if the toilet breaks or if the roof leaks, excuse me, right? It's true home ownership.
Gotcha.
Just keep the deed in my name.
Gotcha. Okay. And then hypothetically, I mean, after 30 years, if they do keep paying those payments, then it's theirs at that point, and the deal would
Yep,
be
I'll transfer the deed over to them. I made more than enough money. They've earned it. It's theirs.
wow. That's pretty great. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a super unique model. I'm curious. I mean, what percentage of people that are moving in with the seller financing model are actually like, how long are they on average staying before they move out? I mean, is it expected that they're all going to be there for 30 plus years? Do you expect most of them to move out after 5 years? And what does that look like?
I mean, statistically, people move or refinance their mortgages every 7 years, 5 to 7 years.
Okay.
Uh, I would say I think my longest, uh, I call them tenant buyers, are coming up on 4 years, 4.5 years, because I just started this. Like I'm brand new. I just started this during COVID.
Yeah.
So I haven't had anyone go past 5 years yet, only because I just started, right? I haven't had properties that long.
Yeah. That's pretty great. So it sounds like the major value in this is finding those people, those tenants that just can't afford to purchase on their own, but are looking to get into something and are able to pay you that monthly mortgage amount, able to pay their own interest and taxes. And the mortgage, I'm assuming, is in your name or your company's name on these properties, right? The mortgage wouldn't be in their name because they obviously couldn't get the mortgage on their own. Is that correct?
So again, these are smaller ticket properties. So,
Yeah.
the first property I did for $8,000. I bought a property for $8,000. There was no mortgage. It was a
Okay.
cash.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Got
most of these are cash purchases. After I did the first nine using my own funds, credit cards, personal loans, again, cash purchases, no debt on them. Um, then I realized why fix and flippers, borrow and raise money. Because I have a system that's so sound, I just need more capital. So I started to borrow money from private lenders to purchase these properties cash. So still really no underlying mortgage through a traditional institutional bank. It's more of a just a lender in first lien position that needs to be paid. So once I started borrowing money, it was more of an arbitrage game, right? If my money costs 12% on $50,000, I just need to make sure what do I want my profit to be? And that's what the mortgage payment has to be.
Got it. Now you mentioned that they're paying the insurance, so the home insurance that's in their name on the home, or is a home insurance in your name on these homes?
Because the deed is in my name,
Yeah.
uh, taxes and the insurances has to stay in my name. So they just reimburse me.
Okay, gotcha. So they're technically paying you, and then you're still the one technically paying the taxes and insurance. Have you had any issues with like, I don't know, those kind of payments or anything like that, or with those types of tenants you're dealing with?
Um, uh, more more often than not, it's really just the mortgage payment that becomes the issue first before it's the insurance and the taxes, right? If they can't afford to pay the mortgage and the taxes and insurance aren't getting paid, right? I'm taking the property back and I'm just reselling it to someone else. So very rarely do I have someone that's like, "Oh, Mike, I can't afford to pay the insurance," right? Usually they can't even afford to pay the mortgage if that's an issue.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it's pretty unique model. And you mentioned that you've actually started a fund around this model because now you got the systems down, so you're out there raising money. So how's that process going for you?
Yeah, so I would say I've been raising money for the last 4.5 years, and that's how I raised the 4 million that I raised. Uh, what I was doing initially for the first 4 years is I was just doing this by myself, right? I,
Yeah.
I, I left the IT job. It'll be 3 years ago, 3 years in August. 3 years in August, or maybe I'm coming up on 5 years now. So it'd be 4 years in August. And I would just do 1 or 2 deals a month. It's just me, right? I'm working, just doing 1, 2 deals a month. Once I started teaching other people how to do this last year, and I started promoting and really explaining and discussing what I've been doing, a lot more JV partners have come about, a lot more opportunities have come about. So deals have started to come in faster. And because I'm the main capital, I don't have the bandwidth and the time to raise the deals the same way I was raising money for them, right? Because once I would get a deal, I would then go raise the money. And then raise the money and then go get the deal. So because of that, I'm changing the strategy of how I raise the money, which is why I'm creating the debt fund, right? So with the debt fund, what we're going to be looking to do is buy single family portfolios. So instead of doing 1 to 2 deals per month, we're going to be looking to do more like 20 to 30 deals per month. Um,
Incredible.
and these portfolios, these single family properties, instead of them being in the 35 to $45,000 range, they'll be more like 100,000 to 150 range. And so the idea is to buy cash flowing portfolios where they already have tenants in them and take that rent roll, right? Where that operator, that investor, he has to pay taxes and insurance because he's investing traditionally. We'll take over that portfolio and systematically transition them to tenant buyers, right? And position them to buy these homes from us in 15 to 30 years. So we'll be eliminating all of the expenses on that rent roll when we acquire the property. And plus those down payments that we would be collecting and giving the individuals an opportunity to own a home. For those that don't want it or can't afford it or not interested in it, once their lease is up, we'll, let them move on and then we'll sell those properties to individuals who look for the opportunity. So that's the goal of the debt fund. Right now, we are looking to raise about 5 million. It'll be a straight debt fund. I have about 1.8 million in soft commitments. They just want to see, the documentation, what the payouts will be, and things like that. So I have some exciting things coming down the pipeline with.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's such a cool story too, because that's where you're at specifically. You figured it out, your strategy all on your own. And then literally 4 years later, you got the systems down, process down. Now it's turning into a fund. I think a lot of people getting in real estate, this is how they envision it going, right? This is how they want to see it play out, how you scale it at the end of the day. And now you're out here actually doing it, which is super cool to see. Is it just you on your team right now? Or do you have other people helping you out, or what's that look like?
Yeah, that's organically grown. So I'm working with Ryan Madigan, who I've met maybe 8 months ago. Um, True operations guy, right? I'm more of a vision, execution, sales, marketing guy. So he's the operation guy.
Yeah.
He's one of the ones who really was had me looking at this differently. Like, Mike, why not do 200 of these? And I'm like, that'll be insane. Also partnered with this is an insane story. One of my coaching clients, um, he's based out of Argentina, was already trying to do exactly what I was doing for the last 4 years. He had the idea and the concept, but he just, because of his lack of English and not having a social security number or a way to do business in the States, it kind of hindered him. We
Mm,
partnered because he spoke Spanish. The Spanish speaking community, when you talk about individuals who want home ownership and don't have the ability, that is a whole nother untapped market that I previously didn't have access to.
right.
Uh, so I started working with him maybe late last year, and we already have 5 properties together. Um,
Wow.
and the way, like, once I started raising money, it took me on average 2 to 3 months to sell a property if I didn't have the buyer already in place. Once I brought him on board, man, it was like in days he was moving these properties because of that Spanish speaking community.
Wow.
Um, so
Wow.
those have been the two key individuals that I've partnered with. Also brought on a VA maybe a year and a half ago, but very lean, mean, and small right now. Um,
Yeah.
would love to partner with more people who kind of has specific expertise. So right now I'm looking for someone who has experience scaling coaching programs, right? Because I don't really have the bandwidth and the time to put to that like I could be. Looking for individuals who, have experience raising capital or know individuals who are cash heavy and looking for opportunities with great returns. Um, would love to work with someone um, who has a disposition or experience selling properties, right? Or was maybe a disposition role at a wholesaling company, right? Because they kind of get the concepts and how to really move these properties fast. I think those are some of the key players that I'm really looking for right now. Um, but yeah, I would say over the last 2 months, I've been thinking who, not how, which is a great book, by the way.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
I'm so used to doing things on my own and thinking that way. Organically, things have been pushing me to say, Mike, you need to start, leveraging teams and others so that you can scale this and remove myself, right?
Yeah.
Because I want to relax a little bit.
Right. Right. That's the ultimate goal. Yeah. Take yourself out of the business and still have that cash flow coming in.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's absolutely incredible. I'm kind of curious. I mean, with these properties you're buying, I mean, you mentioned they're right now kind of lower values at the initial purchase price. I mean, what kind of net income are you trying to get monthly, like per these properties? Because like you said, you're not paying the interest or the insurance and the taxes, and you're not paying the utilities, I'm assuming, on these properties either. So I mean, what kind of numbers are you looking to target on each property getting into for like a net income model?
Yeah, yeah. So again, I had learned that, traditional buy and hold investors were industry standard. $300 was a good profit, right? If you can make $300 cash flow on your rental, then you were doing good. So I was shot for about 450, is what I averaged. And those spreads would always be a lot more if I already had the buyer in place because I can negotiate where I can make a nice $600, $500 spread on that deal. But when I look at my portfolio, I average about 400 to 450 in cash flow.
Okay. Yeah, that's great. And to your point, in traditional rentals, yeah, I think if you're around 300, I think that it's a good number to be at. But also to your point, you're spending a lot less money and it's a lot less headache for you getting into all this
I'm
stuff.
doing something creative and I'm helping people. So that's why I was like, I should be able to make a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. Another question I had is you don't really have like that kind of finance background, obviously. So you were marketing starting out and then real estate. So how did you develop this fund? And are you working with attorneys doing this, or what did that process all entail? And kind of how are you structuring? Is this just a pure, I know you mentioned it's a debt fund, or you just offer them pure interest returns? Can they exit? How soon can they exit? What do those look like?
Yeah, this is a great question. So those are things that I'm hashing out with the attorney that I'm working with right now, SEC attorney. I came up with an insane kind of payment structure, but after looking at it, they're like, Mike, this is going to be too cumbersome for you from a reporting standpoint. You need to make this a lot more simple. But ideally, 12% interest only is the max that they can earn. There'll be a bonus potential in there if they want to defer their payments. Because what I've done traditionally in the past was when I would borrow money from someone, it'd be a one-to-one deal, right? They would get first lien position on the deal, and I pay them 12% interest only for 5 years, monthly. With the fund, right, that's a lot of moving parts. So I'm trying to simplify it. Quarterly payments or the option to defer your payments to the end of the term with a bonus payout. Um, and maybe a flat interest rate of 10 to 12% because I was staggering it too, coming up with the idea of how we would pay them out. But again, I'm trying to nail it down where it's just straightforward. It's simple and attractive at the same time. So
Yeah.
we'll probably land somewhere around a flat 3 years commitment at 12% with an opportunity for a bonus at the end. That's probably where
Gotcha.
the memorandum and all of that fun stuff should be done within the next week or so. And we'll probably have it open for a short window for non-accredited investors. And then it'll be straightforward accredited investors. I'm thinking the minimum investment may be around like 50K. Maybe we'll have a specialty for those with uh, self-directed IRAs. We're still massaging that to see what makes sense.
Yeah.
And like I said, the average person usually comes around, commits to about 100K, and we're looking to raise just 5 million on this first go around,
Yeah.
and then maybe do another one once we, get our wings under us and have some experience, and then maybe do something a little bit bigger.
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely gonna be some growing pains, but that's awesome. That's part of the process. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Well, I know we're running out of time here. Just got a couple more questions for you. One, I know you mentioned you got this fund coming up. I mean, where do you see yourself, your kind of company in the next like 5 years? Like, where are you guys trying to grow to?
Man, that's a great question. Um, that's a great question. I haven't looked that far out. I've looked out for the next maybe 6 to 12 months. I would say in the next 12 months, we successfully do this fund, we pay everyone back. We should be able to cash flow over the next 4 or 5 years just from that fund, close to 2 million, maybe 2.5. Um, and then I have to make a decision, right? Do I want to turn around and do it all over again, or do I want to take some time off? Um,
Yeah,
Also, too, I'm putting some like a wealth building system in place where the income becomes much more passive than what I'm doing now, which is interesting because, it is passive, but it still requires me to, go out and acquire properties, pay my lenders, raise money and things like that. So turning myself more into a true investor where I'm investing and lending to others, um, so that I can enjoy the fruits of my labor,
yeah,
because I've just been running so fast the last 4 or 5 years. Right. So that's where I'm at right now. But no, things may change.
yeah, yeah. Well, it'd be cool to see how it pans out the next couple of years. Big things coming for sure.
Oh,
Um,
well, you and I are going to definitely stay in touch. Absolutely.
Yeah, no doubt, no doubt. I guess last question for people listening and they want to get in touch with you. They like everything you're talking about, they're interested about the fun. I mean, what's the best way for them to just contact you and get in touch
Yeah,
with you?
absolutely. I would say my email and my phone number. My email, because I get so much spam mail and things go to my spam inbox, so sometimes I might see it. So I always tell people, hey, just text me. But my email address is michael@michaelkearse.com. And my phone number is 856-979-1627. Just shoot me a text. Tell me how you seen me, uh, whether it's through the Power of Will's podcast, and let's connect, see how we can bring some value to each other.
Yeah, sounds good. And guys, I'll put his email and the phone number in the description of this episode as well, so you guys can see it easily. All right, Mike, I appreciate you jumping on today. And yeah, thank you so much.
Hey, well, appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Good one.